a chance was given. There was silence, there was time, there was patience. Nothing was sufficient to provoke real change. Ignoring the signs came at a high cost. Now the desire to return arises. There's talk of a fresh start, of doing everything differently. But different based on what? There hasn't even been acknowledgement of the damage done. Asking for forgiveness doesn't erase everything that was neglected. Time has passed, and with it came clarity. Feelings change when they're pushed to the sidelines. Today, there's no more space. There's no intention left, no openness. Only understanding remains. Certain doors once closed can no longer be unlocked. There wasn't a lack of time. Time existed and was generous. There was space, room, patience. There were mistakes, and also silence in the face of them. Nothing was done. Nothing changed. Those who can't see their own neglect believe everything can be resolved later. Later, when the damage has spread. Later, when affection dries up. Later, when absence becomes routine. It's easy to want to go back when you notice the absence. Even easier to pretend that everything can be as it was before. But there comes a point where wear and tear penetrates the soul. You don't notice when it starts. But when it arrives, there's no going back. There were chances all wasted, and not out of malice, but from a blind ego. From carelessness, from emotional laziness, from an arrogance that thinks the other will never leave. Trust was dismantled in small details, a hurtful word, a forgotten promise, a gesture that never came. Love, when neglected, learns to survive alone. And sometimes in that process it dies quietly. Now attempts at reconciliation emerge. There's a rehearsed speech, pleading eyes, the idea that there's still time. But what they want is to regain something that no longer exists, asking for a second chance without even understanding why the previous one was destroyed, calling it a fresh start when nothing has been fixed, expecting forgiveness without even touching the wound they caused. It's common to confuse longing with regret, but true regret requires awareness, and that's not something we see. What shows up now is desperation disguised as affection. It's neediness, not love. It's fear of losing, not a desire to build. But there comes a point where everything changes, where the absence of response is already the answer, where silence shouts louder than any beautiful speech, where the gaze becomes dull because there's no longer anything to feel. When the break is internal, no words can reconnect what was severed inside. And it's in this place that you find yourself now, in a territory where there's no longer room for a return. There wasn't any rush to give up. Everything that could be understood was. Everything that could be explained was. But real listening never existed. There was only the same narrative being repeated, the same desire above all. And while one insisted on maintaining control, the other grew tired in silence. The saturation didn't come from a fight, but from the repetition of neglect, from the little forgetfulness, from last-minute cancellations, from promises that never materialized, from the constant absence disguised as "I'm busy." Deep down, what hurt wasn't the indifference, it was its constancy. It was the certainty that the other wouldn't come, that the effort was one-sided, that loving alone wasn't enough. And still there remained a hope, an innocent hope that perhaps something would change, that a gesture of clarity might come. But it didn't. Because those who don't see the harm they cause don't recognize the damage they inflict. The end is never instant. There's no exact date, no single trigger. It's a build-up of small resignations. It's a look that no longer sparkles. It's a touch that withdraws. It's the whatever that replaces the please stay. First, absence becomes routine. Then the discomfort stops provoking confrontation. It becomes ignored. Next comes the silence. Speech becomes economical, contact mechanical, affection turns into formality, until finally, nothing else matters. There was no scandal, only the silent cut of someone who stopped fighting for reciprocity, and that hurts more than any scream. The proposal for a fresh start comes too late. It is laden with empty words. Now I understand everything. This time will be different. Just give me one more chance. But what kind of chance is being asked for without knowing what was lost? It's easy to want to fix things when you're already alone, but the other person cannot be used as an emotional band-aid. No one is obligated to be the sounding board for someone who woke up too late. And if all that's being offered now are promises, then there's nothing new, because promises were made before, and nothing was fulfilled. The true turning point does not come from a shout. It comes from emptiness. It's when you look back and no longer feel a sense of loss. It's when the name no longer quickens the heart. It's when the memory no longer hurts nor brings joy. Absence ceases to be a wound and becomes relief. Silence turns into peace, and solitude transforms into a fresh start. In this place, insistence has no place. There is no nostalgia, no anger, just a cold but solid certainty. There is no going back. Some people don't understand that final indifference is what remains after so much weariness. They insist on interpreting silence as pride. But it's not pride, it's exhaustion. Exhaustion from explaining, from justifying, from waiting. Exhaustion from trying to keep something standing that was always supported by just one side. The answer is clear now. There is no longer an us, not out of malice, but for self-preservation. Refusing a new chance may seem cold, but it is, above all, a way to preserve what is left of oneself. The self-love that was reclaimed at great cost. The peace built with scars. The understanding that some relationships, no matter how intense, exist only to teach us to walk away. Those who ask for a new chance are rarely prepared to hear the real answer, because they expect reconciliation, they expect apologies, they expect the return of something that only existed in their own fantasy. But the response that needs to be said and heard is this: there is no desire to return anymore. There is no more space, nor will. The cycle has already closed. The connection was broken, where it can no longer be mended. It's not about anger or pride, it's about clarity, recognizing that insisting would be disrespectful to oneself. It would mean giving up the peace that has been achieved. It would mean reviving wounds that were already healing. Certain endings do not require noise. They only need to be respected. And when someone insists on returning to something that no longer exists, silence becomes both a response and a shield. Let it be clear, not every attempt to return is driven by love. Sometimes it is merely wounded ego, fear of loneliness, escaping the emptiness left when the other has gone. But none of these reasons are sufficient to reopen the door. Because when love turns into relief from absence, the end has already come long ago. This is the end, and it asks for no explanations, only respect. The absence has been digested, the mourning processed, the memory emptied of its weight. And now, something new begins, not outside, but within. Reconstruction doesn't have applause, nor an audience. It is silent, solitary, exhausting. It's waking up and remembering that there is no need to wait for any message. It's looking inward and no longer seeing the other occupying every corner. The heart still remembers, but it does not plead. The mind still visits, but it does not linger. Because there is a stark difference between remembering and desiring, and it is in that space that the regaining of autonomy begins. The reclaiming of the identity that slowly dissolved within a relationship, that even without visible aggression, eroded the essential, the will to exist for oneself. There is no rush to start living again. There is only the next step. And it doesn't need grand plans, only presence. Presence in the now, in the taste of coffee without distraction, in the music listened to with attention, in the book that captivates, in the conversation that doesn't require emotional filtering. Rediscovery is not about reinventing oneself. It's about reclaiming everything that was silenced in the name of keeping someone close. It's rediscovering tastes that were abandoned. It's returning to routines that were once negotiated. It's dressing without worrying if the other person would approve. It's finding pleasure in being alone, without feeling empty. The body knows. It felt when something began to suffocate, and now, little by little, it starts to breathe again. The tension in the shoulders dissipates. The stomach no longer knots with postponed messages. The chest stops tightening every time a name appears. Breathing returns to the natural rhythm of someone who is not on high alert. This is the most evident symptom of healing, the peace in the body. When the body no longer fights, nor waits, nor runs away, it's a sign that something has finally been overcome, not forgotten, not erased, but rather absorbed as part of what was, and not of what still is. It's no longer about wanting someone. It's about not accepting less. Because now there's an unbending filter, self-respect. Those who don't recognize their own worth accept any crumbs of attention. But when awareness awakens, need gives way to a demand for dignity. This new state is dangerous for those who have grown accustomed to having control over others, because there's no more game, no more theater. There is firmness, and that is frightening. No one begs for permanence anymore, nor do they smile to avoid discomfort. Now people leave, step back, cut ties, and don't look back. The no has become protection, not punishment. The enough has become a boundary, not drama. The absence has become a choice and not a punishment. No one needs to know, nor see, nor applaud. It's discreet, it's slow, it's just real. The new beginning doesn't announce itself. It is lived. It happens when pain loses its meaning, when the gaze turns to the horizon and no longer looks back, when the phone vibrates and it no longer matters who it is, when dreams resurface and no longer carry a we. This is the clearest sign that everything has passed, when what is to come matters more than what has already been. Ending is not a final point. It's the beginning of a blank page, one that no one will fill for you. It will be built with real choices, firm boundaries, and a new presence, your own. It's not about looking for someone. It's about not losing yourself again. After surviving a breakup, the immediate impulse is often to fill the void, but those who live by substitution live in echoes, and nothing new is born from what still smells of the past. The openness to the new doesn't start with someone else. It begins with the intimate decision that what was won't return, and furthermore, it doesn't repeat. Because the greater risk isn't falling in love again, it's abandoning yourself again. It's giving too much, staying silent too much, accepting too little to avoid being alone. Ignoring red flags in the name of a desire to be seen. The new is only worthwhile if it doesn't cost your peace. Being cautious at the beginning isn't trauma, it's memory. The body remembers, the soul protects itself, and there's nothing wrong with taking it slow. There's no obligation to give yourself away quickly. Those who rush to label probably want control, not connection. Another person's hurry isn't your problem, and if their urgency disturbs your clarity, walk away. The speed of someone new can't trample the boundaries of someone who's been left in pieces. Those who have gone through a real breakup know everything that is forced comes with a price later. If your stomach tightens around someone, listen. If sleep disappears after dates, listen. If anxiety shows up instead of peace, listen. You don't need a list of abuses to understand that something isn't right. Just pay attention to what's happening inside before it's too late. And let it be clear, charisma doesn't mean character. Pretty words don't uphold empty actions. Real affection doesn't require suffering as a condition. There are those who only recognize love if there's sacrifice, if there's jealousy, if there's intensity, if there's drama. But that's not love. It's emotional addiction. And it needs to be broken. Healthy love doesn't race the heart. It calms it. It doesn't mess up life. It fits into it. It doesn't require losing anything essential for it to happen. So now the question changes. Does what's coming bring you closer to or further away from the peace that was so hard to achieve? If the answer is uncertain, trust the silence. It speaks more than momentary excitement. It's not about being closed off to love, but about being open only to what builds you up. And that drives away a lot of things. Those who come in a hurry get uncomfortable. Those who come with a game get lost. Those who come with shadows don't stay. Because now the selection is automatic. Anyone who loves less than necessary to respect boundaries does not remain. Clarity has become a criterion, and that is irreversible. Maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. It's no longer about that. What matters now is that you no longer need love to feel whole. Now, a meeting only matters if it's a sum, if it's free, if it's whole from both sides, without half-hearted efforts, without half-hearted presence. And when that arises, it will be simple. There will be no doubt or anguish, because there won't be any absurd effort to make something work. It will be fluid. It will be calm, it will be after everything. And for that reason, it will be true. This is the new chapter. No rush, no noise, no fear of losing, because it's already known that the essential this time is non-negotiable. Closing a chapter is not about forgetting what was lived. It's about looking back without wanting to go back. It's acknowledging that, despite the pain, there was growth. That the silence that comforts today was once a suffocated scream. And that sometimes the greatest proof of love isn't to insist, it's to walk away and not come back. It's not about closing your heart, but about protecting what was costly to rebuild: peace, dignity, self-love. Let it be a reminder. No one deserves to stay where they are not seen completely. No one needs to accept less just because they're afraid of emptiness. If this content resonated with you, share it with someone who also needs to hear this truth. Take a moment to like this video. It helps it reach more people who are trying to get out of the same emotional maze. Subscribe to the channel to keep receiving deep, genuine, and unfiltered reflections. And comment down below. When was the moment you realized that the end had truly come? Let's share our experiences. Sometimes the strength that one lacks comes from another's story.